When I started this meditation challenge, I thought everything was gonna be smooth sailing, but considering my history so far with the 365 plan, my expectations are rarely ever 100% correct. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. My name is Jaden, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I post a lot of lifestyle and vlog type videos, but also a lot of self-help and psychology videos, just kind of in general analyzing myself and all the people around me, trying to learn the most about people and their beliefs and their relationships to try and make us all better people. So this video is the 4th installment of my 365 plan, which is 12 30-ish a day challenges of different things I'm attempting to try and give myself a fair shot at attempting a lot of things that I never really give a chance. So in the past, I did journaling, I did writing, I did stretching, and now we're on meditation. I have a long history with meditation, as I have had with a lot of these things I've been attempting thus far, but really meditation I have not put in the time to really try until now. I had no idea where this was gonna go, so my attempt was to do a week of 1 minute, a week of maybe 3.5 minutes, a week of 5 minutes, a week of 10 minutes if I wanted to get there, maybe just like 7.5, maybe I would just do 5 max. Although I did kind of believe this would be easy to do, I didn't think I could sit still and take the time out of my day to do 10, 20, 30 minutes. So I promised myself I would do a little bit, something that I've learned is really helpful for me during this challenge. Not saying I'm gonna ball out and do the absolute craziest, most extreme version of whatever thing I was attempting, like we're just gonna show up a little bit. And with doing 1 minute, honestly, I was super motivated. I was like, this is the easiest thing in the world. I could do this forever. Why did I think that meditation was gonna be so complicated? Okay, definitely a little bit of what I already expected. Like, yes, my mind was drifting a little bit. I was thinking about how long it had been, what it was looking like on video, trying to focus on my breathing, but also like probably thinking a little bit too hard about how my breathing was, and thinking that like, how am I supposed to know if I'm doing this right, because like someone can't confirm or deny if what's going on in my head is what's supposed to happen. So yes, there were like some drifting thoughts. However, was I thinking about like a bunch of different things about my life? No, actually. So at least for the 1 minute, probably not gonna be as hard as I thought. Obviously my expectations were set pretty high from the get-go. Even though I couldn't necessarily settle my brain for an entire minute, it wasn't very hard to do. I mean, I could find the time for a minute every day. But I had the motivation, I had the belief. So going into 3 minutes, honestly, pretty confident still. Whoa! That was, again, not that hard. After a week of doing 1 minute, I was like, okay, 3 minutes honestly doesn't sound that bad either. Like, I think I could go into 5 pretty soon. I do think I might like cut to 5 a little bit quicker, because I almost want to like try 20-30 minutes, something like that, like maybe by the end of this. But I can tell I'm not really like good at it yet. Like, my thoughts are going all over the place, especially like right now. I feel like I'm very like my thoughts are very much going crazy. I have a lot on my mind, like way too much, and that probably means that I do need to meditate, but I don't know if it's really effective, because I feel like I am just sitting there like marinating in my thoughts, and maybe that's not helpful. And I am doing that thing where I'm like noticing it's going somewhere, and I'm like, okay, let's reel it back in, like that's okay, but let's focus on our breathing, let's focus on thinking about nothing. But I just keep thinking about stuff. I know that's normal, but so far so good. Honestly, I feel like this was a stressful day. I really needed this, and I'm happy I did it, and it went by pretty fucking fast, and I actually feel a little bit better. So one thing about me, I have a very, very, very active brain. I know a lot of people watching this probably do as well, but I honestly think I'm in a very high percentile of like how many thoughts I have in a second, and I love my brain. I love being in my head, genuinely. I think being inside my head is one of the most fun places to be. I have so many thoughts that are so interesting, that are so fun. I can sit and think for hours. And that's kind of one of the biggest problems with meditation, because it's almost like giving me an opening to think for a certain amount of time instead of being thoughtless. Because like, who's gonna know the difference? Obviously I will, but like if I'm doing a video, you know, like I can take the time to just think about life. Obviously I wasn't like intentionally trying to do this, but I feel like that's something that my head kind of runs with, and I haven't really known anything differently. If you guys did watch the first installment of the 365 plan where I did journaling, you can see that like that comes a lot more naturally for me, because I love to yap and I love to brain dump, like getting things out of my head onto paper, reflecting on my thoughts, reflecting on my day, reflecting on my situations, whatever, just like thinking in general. That just is something that has never been hard for me, and it's been the opposite that has been much harder for me. And I actually never really thought about it with how much I think. I never really thought about the fact that I don't give myself time to not think, really ever. I've said before I like being brainless, but I've never really processed the fact that like it is actually healthy for me to kind of like shut my thoughts off for a designated amount of time, because I always gain so much from thinking. I couldn't imagine anything different. Still, even when I was going into the 30 minutes wasn't too difficult of a thing to ask me to do, because it's still only 30 minutes. At that point, it's not too daunting. And again, was my brain fully empty when I was doing 1 to 3 minutes? No, but it was a little bit easier to kind of stay on the task at hand, kind of recenter my thoughts and be like, hey, you're not supposed to be thinking about this right now. Let's just relax a bit. When I started going into 5 minutes, that's when it really became a task. I started to feel a shift. I started to feel some more resistance coming from me. I was really like putting it off. I started thinking a lot of these times that like if I stepped away from my thoughts for 5 minutes, I would miss a lot of things that I needed to think about. Like I needed to remember to do XYZ at work. I needed to remember that this thing was bothering me about this person. I needed to remember that video idea, or that certain line I want to write into a script, or that video I had to edit, or the fact that I needed to do my dishes or my laundry. Like whatever it was, I just like kept making excuses that like I needed to think about these things. I needed to have all of these things on my mind for me to remember to do them, for me to live my life successfully, which is crazy. Like I couldn't spare 5 minutes. I mean, I obviously do. At other times, like I spare 8 hours to sleep. There's a lot of times at work where I'm focused on the task at hand. Like there are times where I'm doing videos like this where I'm focused on the task at hand, but like when it came to just sitting there and essentially doing nothing, I couldn't spare those 5 minutes because I was taking away from actively thinking. It wasn't even actively doing anything. It was actively thinking about the things I needed to do. That's what I wanted to spend my time doing. All right, guys, tomorrow marks 2 weeks that I've been doing the meditation. I have missed a few days per usual, but things have actually been going really well and I've been really enjoying this. So today I think I'm gonna cross over into my 5-minute meditation. Hi, Bubba. We're gonna see how well this goes. I feel like the 3 was like kind of challenging, but also overall pretty easy. 5, I think it's gonna get kind of hard. My biggest qualm is I don't want to sit up and do this, so I'm actually gonna scoot this camera back a little bit and I'm gonna sit up against the pillows. Wow, I'm not gonna say that was easy because it's still hard to keep my mind empty. As I said before, I'm still just thinking a lot. Like I'm spending all of this time meditating, just thinking about life, but I'm having an easier time redirecting. I love that he's just like staring into the camera. Natural born actor. He's a good boy. Yeah. It did help having him here because like I was petting him and I was trying to just focus on the feeling of petting him, which like maybe that is kind of like a thought, like my head wasn't empty, but like I was just focusing on the present moment and like the sensation, which is like what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be present, and maybe like being present just with breathing like isn't for me. Like maybe I need to like focus on a sensation, like what I'm touching. I think that is a part of meditation. I don't know, I actually haven't like done a lot of research into everything like meditation can be, because it's not like one thing. But yeah, I don't know, I really do like the sensation of like petting him. I try to think that my mind's a black hole, like that's very specific, but I try to think of like a black hole in my brain, and all thoughts just go into that black hole. Like whatever happens, it just gets absorbed into it. I'm not really thinking of anything else, like anything specific. Yes, thoughts do come up, but I kind of just like brush them aside, make them go into that black hole, as I said. I don't know, but that 5 minutes still went by pretty fast. I thought it would be like insufferable, and it was fine. So far, like, I'm not really having any complications with this. I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing it well. Like, I don't know if I'm really getting the benefits out of it, because I don't know if I'm doing it like right, even though there is no like right way to do it. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the rest of this goes, like especially when I do get into 20, like maybe 30 minutes. I feel like that's gonna be like really hard, but so far just I'm not insanely intimidated by it. I don't know, but I feel like as the time gets longer, it'll be harder to ignore those passing thoughts. After about a week of doing 5-minute sessions, I started to make the transition into 10 minutes, and I would say this was an even bigger shift, because at the end of the day I could still say at least it's only 5 minutes for the 5-minute sessions, and for 10 it really just started to become a task. I was really putting off flipping the switch here. I kept making excuses, and I kept finding time for the 5 minutes basically where I could, like where I didn't have to put in so much effort. So like when I was already going to sleep, I would say those 5 minutes like before you're falling asleep, where you're just laying in bed, like that counted. Of course I didn't put it on a timer, so I have no idea if I fell asleep before my 5 minutes was up, but whatever. Or I would do my 5 minutes in the shower. Like obviously these things are fine. Like it's good to take that intentional time to be mindful at any point of the day, but I don't think that was the point. The point was I wasn't being intentional about it, and I wasn't actually being mindful about it. I was just like, I'm just gonna do this while I'm in the shower. I didn't do it today, I'm about to go to sleep, like I might as well just do it now. And a lot of this was because I really didn't want to film it. I really didn't want to like sit down and go through the process of starting the 10 minutes and filming it and making it a whole thing, because I felt like I was just gonna have another clip of me being like, cool, I did it. Like, did I really sit here and do it properly? No, but like I tried my best. I tried to sit here and not have thoughts, but all I really did was think. When I finally did my 10 minutes, I tried to do it when I was really ready for it, and it was still so incredibly hard. I don't know what day it is for meditating, but I've been putting off doing my 10-minute one for so long, and I've been making the excuse of like, I'm doing it right before I go to sleep. I'm not really timing it. I'm just like, I'm doing 5 minutes like before I go to sleep, which is good. It's good to clear my head before I go to sleep, but am I really being intentional about it? Not really. So I'm not putting this off any longer. Let's do my first 10-minute session, and this is gonna be horrible. I'm already calling it. I'm so anxious to do this, because like what the fuck am I gonna do with 10 minutes of nothing but breathing? Oh my god. I swear I was about to give up. This might genuinely be one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I probably had a combined total of not thinking for like 10, maybe 20 seconds that entire time. I have like two kinds of thoughts. I've never really thought about the way that I think until I've started doing this, but they are very loud thoughts that I have, where I feel like I am literally talking to myself in my head, and I am aware that I'm doing that because I'm literally having a conversation with myself inside my head. And then these thoughts, like the ones I'm having when I'm meditating, when I'm trying not to think, it's like, it feels like it's in the background, like literally in the background of my brain. It literally feels like it's behind, if that makes any sense. Like it feels like it's in a different part of my brain, and it might be, honestly. It is very disturbing because, like I said, one feels like an active conversation and one feels like a passive, like just noise that's occurring without my control. And I think so much, and I think so much intentionally, that, like, I never really try not to think. I'm usually trying to get more time to think because I love thinking. I love spending time in my own brain. It's like my favorite place to be. So it's weird to intentionally be like, let me turn this off, because this is my comfort. This is my safe space. But I don't know. I know it's probably healthy. It's also probably a healthy reaction to have to trying to meditate, to get distracted with your own thoughts. I know that happens, but I just feel like, I don't know, the time that I spend literally not having thoughts, it's so limited. Like, I can't even get a millisecond in. I'm a little bit like spiteful. Like, I want to figure out how to turn my brain off for at least 5 minutes. Like, I want to learn how to do that. Do I think that, like, if I actually did learn how to do it, that I would want to do it? Like, no, not really. I think I really like thinking, but it's still just something I'm like kind of tempted to learn how to do, just out of curiosity. Like, how does it feel? Like, can I actually do it? I just want to achieve it. I'll probably do like one more 10-minute clip just because I want to see if I get a little bit better. And I think the last day I'm gonna try for 20 or 30 minutes just to see, and I'm probably gonna want to die the whole time, but I'll make it a day. It'll be an all-day event. So after that first session of doing 10 minutes, I did another session of 10 minutes the following day with my boyfriend, who apparently took like a mindfulness class in college. I don't know. So he used to do like 30 minutes of meditation at the beginning of every class he had. So 10 minutes, I guess, wasn't very hard for him. I was in denial. I didn't want to believe it. So I was like, okay, just do it with me. We'll see. Even though it was a little bit frustrating knowing that like this sense of thoughtlessness just comes a lot easier to him. Like, he's a really peaceful, just calm person. Like, he doesn't really get worked up about a lot of things. It was a little bit annoying because I knew I was the weaker link here, but it was really comforting having him next to me and knowing that he was doing it properly and he was like really being mindful in that moment.
Did he come up and lick your face?
Yeah. He's so good.
No barking.
That wasn't that bad. I did it for the next few days, just bit the bullet, but I knew that my long session was coming up and I really didn't want to do 30 minutes and I really didn't want to do 20 minutes. But I had said at the beginning of the challenge that I wanted to end off on something a little bit longer. So when it came to the very last day of the challenge, I just said, I'm gonna put on a 30-minute timer and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna try. And if it gets to a point before the 30 minutes are done, I feel like I am absolutely gonna die. I cannot take another second of this. Like, I'm going insane. Whatever, I'll stop it wherever I'm at. easier doing a longer session because I knew there was no point spending that time thinking. It was gonna feel long no matter what, even if I was just thinking. I didn't really want to spend the time doing that at that point. So instead of thinking and sitting there like dreading it, I knew it would be more productive for me to just zone out. And if I got so out of it that the timer had to essentially snap me out of it, then that would be the best case scenario. I wouldn't be too aware of the time passing, I wouldn't be dreading it as much, and I would successfully accomplish my task. It's not like I would fall asleep or lose track of time. Like, I had the timer to hold me accountable. So with that thought, I was really able to help myself relax a little bit. And a bit later into the meditation, a lot longer than what I had done before, I genuinely started to feel like I was levitating. I've heard people say this before, and I always thought they were being dramatic, and I think it always feels dramatic or like weird to say until you experience it yourself. A little bit earlier into the challenge, I had asked my boyfriend, I was like, do you think there's like a meditation high, kind of like how you get a runner's high if you're a runner? And I think that's basically what I experienced. I was so like lightheaded, just light in general, that like my body didn't feel like it really had weight. I literally felt like I was being lifted off of the couch. It was something I'd never experienced before, and honestly, the closest thing I could compare it to is the feeling you have right before you're about to pass out, which I have done many times before, and I hadn't really eaten that day. So I kind of got freaked out after like a couple minutes of it. I was like, is this like a mindfulness state or am I about to pass out? So I kind of like jumped, I don't know, I was like, ugh, what is this? And I snapped out of it, and like as soon as I snapped out of it, it completely went away. So I realized it wasn't actually a physical sensation, it was actually a mindfulness state. So then I wanted to go back into it because it was so cool, and I could not recreate it for the rest of the time. But you're probably wondering, with that kind of information, did I actually make it all the way to 30 minutes? And the answer is the camera died literally like 30 seconds before the alarm went off. But I did it. I'm gonna explain it all in my summary video, but that was actually pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. I'm proud of myself. After successfully completing a 30-minute meditation and experiencing the feeling of levitating in my mind, I can actually say now, I think I might like meditation a little bit. For the longest time into this challenge, I was so sure that this was gonna be another fail on my 365 plan, but I actually think this was a raging success. Meditation is not something I'm gonna be implementing every single day, I can definitely tell you guys that, but it is a mindfulness practice that I would love to keep in touch with, and I think it's a good tool to have. So yeah, honestly, this has been a really good practice for my anxiety and just my stress levels in general, even though it's very hard and very unnatural for me, and I am by no means someone who is good at meditation. I think if you have the means to try this out, I say give it a shot. Like I said, just do 5-10 minutes. If that's too daunting, just start with one, and you'll notice that just focusing on your physical sensations and taking yourself out of your mind and away from your racing thoughts can be so helpful for you. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did try to work on my style a little bit, my editing. I'm just trying to change the vibe of my channel a little bit. So let me know what you think if you've been a long time watcher, or even if you're new but you've noticed like a little bit of a shift lately. Let me know what you think, what kind of content you like to see, what you do or don't like about my editing style, like literally any thoughts that you have. I would love to hear them. And also I would love to hear your thoughts on meditation, and if you've tried it, if you want to try it, whatever. I love just talking with you guys and hearing your thoughts and hearing your experiences. But if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, definitely be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you're feeling generous, you can even subscribe. I do hope to see you guys all in the next video, but if not, bye bye.